Okay, so for those of you who were tuning into part one, I keep wanting to say pile one. Part one, this is part two of your love reading. So let's see what else there is for the collective. What is it that you need to know about your love life, or what's happening in your love life? I'm curious, I'm nosy. We have the Ace of Swords. Okay, so during your hermit mode, for those of you who are single and you're purifying and you're doing the inner alchemy, I do see that you're going to be getting a message or news out of the blue. I do see that this is going to shock you a bit. It's going to be news that's unexpected, and I don't think you are planning on it, you're waiting for it. I think when I'm saying you're not planning on it is because I think you have your phone off at the time that maybe you're meditating or you're sleeping, and then suddenly you get a message, okay? For some of you, this could also be someone else's energy. This could be a King of Swords, so an air sign who may feel very burdened by the lack of communication or a need to communicate their truth. But they know that in order to come to you with communication, it has to be, first of all, clear, it has to be concise, number two, and it also has to be coming from integrity, truth, and appreciation with respect, I'm hearing. I'm also seeing that this is a message where they themselves could be receiving from spirit that they're just too cold. They're too cold and too blunt, and they need a bit of that warmth that maybe they have lost with you leaving them. But this is the warmth that they themselves, that you have projected, that they've always had, but they were afraid to connect to. Do you understand? So if they are an air sign, but it doesn't have to be an air sign, they themselves come across as quite direct, quite in charge of their emotions, very controlled, very intelligent, but it lacks emotion, it lacks warmth. And what you showed them in the past was a lot of warmth and emotionality, I'm hearing. And you weren't afraid to be vulnerable with your emotions. I feel like, and I just saw 222 on the timer. I also see that, and continuing with this, I think that this person is understanding through their self-reflection and self-discovery that they actually need to be more emotionally connected. Okay, this is someone who could be, in the energy that I'm picking up on, this is someone who could be emotionally avoidant, and maybe this is something that they learned from their childhood to that's maybe they're old school English and they have the stiff upper lip, so they don't show emotions. They may have a little bit of a quiver if they are emotional, but they will never show that they are emotional because they come from, remember how I spoke in part one, with the traumas and the karma, particularly in this my generation and the generation after me, that we're clearing out a lot of these ideas, these flaws, these karmas, these dark and delicate and painful lessons, I'm hearing. And they may be from another generation, maybe they could be older than you with the king energy, and they don't understand that they have to clear this karma from their generation before them, and the generation before that, about men don't cry, for example, and it's not a weakness to do that. Of course, this isn't just about gender. It's what I'm picking up on is this person from your past, particularly, or this person that you're with who is carrying the masculine energy. They understand now that they need to be a bit more in touch with their emotions. It's like they are afraid to be emotional. They're afraid. They're very upset. They're very upset and forlorn. They're very upset. I mean, it's got nothing to do with you. If anything, you triggered this within them. Maybe you even said something on, you got to change this way of doing things. You got to change this behavior, this pattern of behavior, because it's not who you are as your person, as your persona. This is a characteristic trait that you've picked up from previous generations or from your parents, or even from your generation itself. And, if you don't show me those emotions, then I'm going to go. Maybe you were quite harsh with them or quite blunt in the way that they have been blunt with you, and maybe they weren't expecting it. So I see that they are left forlorn, they are left bereft, they are left with, in their own solitude and their own in their own quiet hours, I'm hearing, they are very upset, and they may be they may be crying, but they haven't shown you this. Okay, so for those of you who are in a connect, I mean, exactly, this is exactly what I'm picking up on. You know, I've got to cover her breasts. It's just ridiculous on the social media, but anyway, I've got to cover her breasts. What nature gives us, you know, such a double standard. You know, where men are able to show their chest and women aren't. You know, it's just insane. Anyway, so you're coming across as the empress. As I mentioned, you are coming across as the goddess because a lot of you are the feminine divine incarnate. I know you, I see you, you know, even if I don't know you as, you know, intimately, or, you know, as a friend, I see your energy, I pick it up very strongly, and you have been doing a lot of the self-work. And, you know, when you do that self-inquiry, it's not easy. You got to delve into really dark depths, you know, and do a lot of reflection and go, you know what, maybe mea culpa, it was my fault, you know, in certain situations, or you know, maybe I need to, you know, carry some boss energy myself, and, you know, maybe have a bit more boundaries in my life. You know, these are all goddess energies that I'm picking up on, that maybe you were taught that you can't have what you want, you know. And I do feel like a lot of you in your later life, maybe you are getting a second wind, I'm hearing. So you're feeling like you're in your 20s again, for those of you who are in your 40s or 50s or 60s, or maybe you don't look like your age, like myself, is because you're doing the inner work. Inner alchemy is a real thing. It's not just some stupid new age crap that they put out there in order for you to sound good. Like, it's a real thing. You know, you can regress your age through your diet, through your yoga, through your dancing, through self-care, through positive affirmations, through changing your friendship circles. You know, whatever it is that you need to do in order to feel healthy, you become healthier, you become more radiant from within. And it's about that transformation and transmutational power. I also would like to wish my beautiful Scorpio friends a happy birthday. It is Scorpio season, and we are entering the season of transformation being seen, you know, because I feel like a lot of you have been doing the transformative work, but I think now it's about the transformation that it's about a lot of you who are now going to be seen as transformed. Some of you could be going to functions where there are reunions, and people will not recognize your energy either, because you have transformed. This is the season also of bondage. This is the season of, yeah, sure, Scorpio with the fetish, but this is the season of bondage and real divine unions and partnerships coming in that had been initiated during the Libra season. So the Libra season's about true bonded soul contracts, as in twin flames, soul mates, whatever you want to call them. They're kind of interchangeable, but higher divine partnerships in the air, in the ether, but now coming into ground, essentially, with the opposite of Scorpio, which is Taurus, into Scorpio season, but with that drive and passion. So maybe for some of you, you have someone from your past that didn't have that drive or emotionality. Now, Scorpio is, yes, a water sign, but it's incredibly fiery. And so maybe you yourself, with that Taurus energy, have now grounded that scorpionic change that you are now being seen as. And you're manifesting a lot of abundance. I don't know whether you'll want to take that last person in or not, for those of you who, you know, left someone behind previously. I think that, you know, you've cried already and you're kind of on to the next, you know. For those of you who are in a connection already and you're happy in love, I do see that there is more resolve and balance and peace and transformation in your connection. And I think it's on account of communication. So there's an improvement in your communication, in your connection. And I do see that maybe where you felt at a loss emotionally, where you couldn't really communicate with your partner because they felt like they couldn't be emotional with you, I do see that they understand that they have to compromise through communication, through being vulnerable emotionally. And I do think, just generally overall, for those of you who are single, you're not going to accept anything less than a happy ending. So I do think that this is manifesting for you. If you'd like a private reading, you can book directly on my website under the healing page on my website. Lots of love. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.